we knew we were onto something. We knew that there was a whole aspect of the art world that was uninvestigated and unthought about. We knew we were on the right side of history. We had to figure out a way to get everyone else thinking about it. And in 1985, we went, myself and Katja Kollwitz, the other founding member, went to a very traditional protest at the Museum of Modern Art because an exhibition there had so few women artists and artists of color. So we went to this very traditional protest where people they were on a picket line and they had placards and they were doing chants. And we spent the whole day there in support of something we believed in. We wanted the public to know that the museum was, there's something wrong. And at the end of the day, all we did was make a lot of people angry, people going outside of the museum. So that very day, Katja and I said to ourselves, we've got to find a better way to communicate than this old-fashioned way. So we kind of made the vow that we were going to try to do something, and we met up with some people, we talked among ourselves, and very quickly we put up a first poster, which actually put our male artists on call. It said, what do these artists have in common? And then there was a whole list of guy artists, and at the bottom it said they allow their works to be shown in galleries that show no more than 10% women artists or none at all. We put that up on the street, and it was unbelievable. Everyone started talking about it. So it was like riding a galloping horse, and we haven't gotten off it since. People have such tastes about music, and they argue about it, and they're very sure of what they like and what they don't like. It's much harder in the art world because it's somehow compromised by money and by distance. Maybe, art is a little inaccessible. You can only look at it in a museum. You can't, take it into your house. We really think that, a priestly language has sort of developed around art that excludes, a lot of understanding from it. And we want to communicate very directly. And we think lots of marginalized subgroupings have been left out of the history of art just because it has always been about wealth and power and the control of a specific object. That has really taken it away from everyday experience. We'd like to change that. Our posters are easy to own, easy to have. They're limitless. We would like everyone to think about art as culture, not as investment or fancy luxury items, something that means something in people's lives and that they can talk about. And we really think that what's in museums should look like our culture. Otherwise, if the history of art doesn't include all of the voices of a culture, it's not the history of that culture. It's a history of power of a certain group in that culture. So we really would like to see that change. And we're not going to stop complaining until it does. We started in 1985. We're a bunch of, women artists and art professionals, and we saw that things were not going well for women artists and that there was real discrimination that no one was really admitting. So we just started doing projects and posters and sort of in-your-face activism that brought the issue up. Are women artists and artists of color discriminated against in the art world? And the answer was yes. And pretty soon everyone was talking about our posters. We just put them up uninvited on the streets of New York, and everyone talked about them, and the issue became part of the dialogue, and we just kept going with it. We never stopped. And of course, rights, civil rights and gender rights issues always morph into, either larger things, other things. So we kept listening to people and changing or evolving our thinking. And we realized, when we started in 1985, people would actually say things like women and artists of color are not making art that's good enough to be in museums or galleries. No one would say that anymore. But of course, there's the issue of tokenism, where a single woman artist or a single artist of color or a single trans artist will be shown, and an institution will think that the problem is taken care of. So that's one, sort of side problem that we've had to address. And then there's the issue of corruption inside museums and inside institutions. I don't know that much about institutions in Minneapolis, but certainly in New York, the major arts museums are run by art collectors, and without any kind of ethical questioning of that. So they're in a position to influence and enhance their investments. And we all know that the art world has become not so much the production of culture as the production of super luxury items for super wealthy people, and they turn into instruments of investment. And, we're kind of sad because, it really makes art less powerful as a cultural production when it becomes a commodity like that. And only rich people, super rich people, can own it. So there's corruption, and then also that leads into income inequality. If you look at the prices that women and artists of color get for their work at auction, which now is the sort of market that's driving art collecting, it's pathetic. It's like 10 cents on the dollar of what white men get. So we're asking the large question, are museums really telling the story of who we are as a culture? Or are they telling the story of the taste of the super wealthy? I'm Frida Kahlo. I'm one of the founding members of the Guerrilla Girls, and we're so happy to be coming to the Rochester Art Center and meeting up with our old pal and troublemaker, Megan Johnston, who's running the place. So why don't you come down, find out what we're doing, find out what Megan's doing, and find out how you can make trouble like we did too, and work towards a better world for artists and for all of us.